My heart breaks with this one, and I think it's a good one to end. This mom has someone in her neighborhood. It's not at school. She wrote in and she said, the child in our neighborhood is making my child's life miserable. She says he has all the signs of narcissism. He gets pleasure from inflicting pain. He name calls. He pushes and shoves. He recruits other people to be venomous with their words, and if they don't make fun of my child, he will turn and unleash his venom on them. This child loves to see people in pain, and she said, I'm afraid that my child's life is in danger. And there was two things I want to address. Number one, the tone. It wasn't as empathetic, I would say. I think the tone was from a place of woundedness, which had justifiable anger. She says he's a narcissist. And I just want to say, when we label children personality disorders like sociopathy, antisocial behavior, narcissism, borderline, we're doing what psychiatrists won't even do. Psychiatrists, according to the DSM-4, say you're not allowed to diagnose anybody until they're 18 years old. And when you diagnose them, they have to go through some strict tests. And when we call kids bully, we're diagnosing them with the criteria, as I explained earlier, of a sociopath. So let's stop demonizing children. All right? And let's just realize that these are kids that are really causing a lot of pains, excuse me. So that's the first thing I want to say. But the second thing I want to say is, how does your child react? How does your child respond when this mean person in his neighborhood comes? Does your child demand with assertiveness that he better back off or he's going to tell the parent? Does your child demand maybe what dad says? Maybe dad advises him, man, if he pushes you around, you punch him back twice as hard. That's what I did when I was 12 and kids left me alone. That's what you do with this kid. If that's your husband's advice to your child, to be assertive and maybe be physical back, that's not going to go well. Maybe it will resolve it, or maybe it will escalate it. But ask yourself the deep question, how is my child reacting to this mean child's behavior? And in there lies strategy. Most likely, if your child is getting wounded and upset, that's why this child is being mean to your child. He is doing it for a payoff. Think of a lottery machine. You put a coin in. The hope at Vegas is to get a payoff of coins. And so you wait for all the three things to line up, and you pull the lever, and ding, 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 ding. If there's a payout, you're going to continue to frequent that machine often. And you'll gather a crowd. And even that person that's winning will say, come over here, use this machine. It's going to really pay out. But if that machine decided to not pay out, and you put your quarters in maybe for 5 times, and you pull the lever and you realize this is a dead machine, I'm not going to waste my time, then you'll leave that machine alone and you'll warn other people, don't play that machine because they don't pay out. And that's how social aggression works. When your child refuses to pay out anger or any other sign of upsetness, then other kids will realize they're no fun to make fun of because there's no payout. I'm telling you, that's the truth. And of course, the way you protect your child from not getting sent to the hospital is to help them learn the difference between objective harm and subjective harm. Objective harm is done with a stick or a stone, and you say if a kid is ever going to take an object and give you broken bones, blood, barf, or bruises, you should get upset, defend yourself if you have to, and run for help. At the very most, you should recognize that if this child has a history of physical violence, then he has a future of physical violence, and we need to do everything we can to avoid this child. And if he crosses the line of physical violence, we have to call the authorities, and we have to say, look, please just stop this behavior. But if it's just subjective harm, which means harm aimed at hurting my feelings, then this is what you teach your child. He's just trying to hurt your feelings. And if you get upset, it will only escalate hostilities to cross the line to objective harm. In other words, almost all physical aggression starts on the verbal level. I hate you. I hate you. You better shut up. You better shut up. I'm going to tell your mom. What'd you say? push, push, punch, punch. Almost all physical aggression starts on the verbal level. So when you teach your child to not get upset by verbal insults, then they'll most likely skate the threat of physical insults or aggression, and they'll be able to watch themselves. But this child clearly is a red flag. Last thing, this parent, I could tell with a lot of pain, said she talked directly to the parents and explained that their child was hurting the neighborhood children, and the parents could not care less. And can I tell you something? That's what you're going to get almost all the time, especially if you address the parent in an attitude of victimization. Your child's causing a lot of problems. If you're going to approach that parent, just simply, like Dr. Samir suggested, do it in a spirit of friendliness. You know, my child keeps on coming home and getting upset. I'm wondering what's wrong with our kids and why they can't get along. Can you help me kind of get to the bottom of it? But I do believe that when we teach our children to love others, it also means they're enemies. Love your enemies. That's what Jesus said. And love is two things. Love suffers for a long time, has the ability to endure meanness for a long time, and is kind. And is kind to their enemy. If you don't live by that ethic, then continue to live the way you've been living and try to go legal against your enemy and see how that happens. As Dr. Phil would say, how's it working for you? It's not. Or you could take the ancient advice of the golden rule that says, stop getting upset, be kind to people, especially when they're mean to you, and they'll most likely leave you alone. And if they don't, if they keep being mean, just avoid them, because you can't make people nice.